30-day ceasefire. What do the U.S. and Russia gain? The phone call between Donald Trump and Vladimir Putin has become the center of discussion on social media. It is reported that last night the two leaders agreed on a 30-day ceasefire concerning energy infrastructure. At the same time, they made many promises to each other, ranging from economic development to organizing a friendly ice skating match to strengthen relations. This agreement has led many experts to believe that Putin is the clear winner, as everything seems to be unfolding according to his plans. Trump, on the other hand, has clearly failed to deliver on what he once declared in the media. During his campaign, he claimed that Russia and Ukraine would cease fire within 24 hours of his inauguration. However, after taking office, he dismissed this as a joke. Got it? Then just the other day, he called for a 30-day ceasefire. But today, it turns out that it is only a partial ceasefire for 30 days, not a complete one. The question is, why did Donald Trump propose halting attacks on energy infrastructure instead of other targets? The answer is that after being pressured by Putin, it became clear that ceasing attacks on energy facilities was the most viable agreement. A total ceasefire on the front lines would be impossible to control. The only targets that cannot be moved are energy facilities. If they are attacked, it is easy to determine the culprit. Moreover, at the moment, Russia holds significant advantages on the battlefield. They have no reason to rush. Putin is a billionaire of time. The ones who need to act quickly are Donald Trump and Ukraine. That is why Trump had to propose a softer solution. Eventually, the agreement to refrain from attacking energy infrastructure for 30 days was reached. For Putin, this agreement seems to align perfectly with his objectives, which explains why he agreed so quickly. 3 reasons justify this decision. First reason, Russia is also facing difficulties. The US and Europe have imposed sanctions for the past 3 years, creating economic challenges. Russian troops have withdrawn from Syria, now focusing solely on Ukraine. As a result, Russia does not want further conflict with the US. Engaging in direct talks with Trump means that if Russia continues to take a hard stance, things could fall apart. If Trump gets angry and decides to go all in, Russia could suffer significant losses. Therefore, when Trump backed down, Russia immediately agreed. Second reason, Russia's economy currently relies heavily on oil exports. If attacks on energy infrastructure persist, the risk of an economic crisis will rise. Recently, Ukraine claimed to possess UAVs with a 3,000-kilometer range. Although unconfirmed, Russia has reason to be concerned. Ukraine has already carried out drone attacks deep into Moscow. Therefore, agreeing to a ceasefire on energy infrastructure is a reasonable way to protect its primary revenue source. Third reason, Russia still has room to attack Ukraine. As long as fuel depots remain untouched, military bases and other targets can still be hit. Why not take advantage of this? The more leverage Russia gains on the battlefield, the stronger its position at the negotiation table later. As for Donald Trump, based on his media statements, it is clear that he did not achieve a comprehensive ceasefire, but only a partial one. In this regard, he is at a disadvantage. However, if Trump were that easy to predict, we would all be U.S. presidents by now instead of sitting here discussing him. Clearly, Trump's public declarations often differ from his actual actions. He frequently sets an unrealistically high opening demand, making it impossible for the other side to accept. Then, when he negotiates down, they feel like they've gained something. So what does Donald Trump gain from this agreement? First, he asserts both his personal influence and America's global standing. Like it or not, at this point, only Donald Trump has managed to bring Russia and Ukraine to the negotiating table. Achieving an immediate and complete ceasefire is impossible. De-escalation must happen gradually. Second, protecting energy infrastructure helps stabilize global oil prices, which in turn curbs inflation. This benefits the U.S. amid ongoing trade wars with multiple countries. Third, the U.S. can reduce its military aid to Ukraine. If Ukraine no longer needs to defend its energy infrastructure, it can redirect its resources elsewhere, thereby lessening America's financial burden. Fourth, the U.S. demonstrates goodwill toward Russia, preventing Moscow from moving too close to China. Trump seeks to pull Russia toward the U.S. and stop it from deepening ties with Beijing. Money is the key leverage over Russia at this moment. History may be repeating itself in an interesting way. In the past, the U.S. and China used ping-pong diplomacy to drive a wedge between the Soviet Union. Now, Trump and Putin are considering ski diplomacy to mend relations. Whether this will materialize remains to be seen, but it is clear that there is now a glimmer of hope for peace. Many more meetings will be necessary. The next meeting has already been scheduled for March 23rd in Saudi Arabia. Conclusion. What are the clear gains from this agreement? Russia benefits in three ways: avoiding increased pressure from major powers, protecting its oil industry, and extending its campaign in Ukraine. The U.S. benefits in four ways: reaffirming global leadership, stabilizing energy prices, reducing military aid to Ukraine, and showing goodwill toward Russia to counterbalance China. Ultimately, neither side truly loses. The real losers are Ukraine and Europe. Former Russian President Dmitry Medvedev mockingly stated on social media, "The US and Russia are the diners, while Europe and Ukraine are merely the dishes on the table."